Okay, well, good morning, everybody, or happy noon, I guess. Thank you for joining us for our training on family protection representation plans and how to enter the plan. I appreciate you joining us. I know everyone on this training is super busy, so if you have something that you have to get to before the end of the training, don't worry. We will be posting the recording on YouTube for you to watch later. And you can also tell your friends who weren't able to make it that the recording will be posted on YouTube. We are going to save questions for the end of the training, but don't wait on asking the questions. If we're going through something and a question pops in your head, please type it in. The Q&A box is down at the bottom of your screen, and we will be managing those and then answering things at the end. And with that, I will introduce my co-host to y'all, and then we'll get started. So Kristen, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hi, everybody. My name is Kristen Meeks. I'm a senior policy analyst and attorney here at the Texas Indigent Defense Commission. Thanks for joining us today. Dr. Gamble?
Yes, I am Sarah Gamble, and I'm the research director at the Texas Indigent Defense Commission. Thanks for joining.
All right. Thank you, team. All right, I'm going to start sharing slides, and then we will get going on this very exciting journey that we're about to take. All right. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks again. You are here to learn about submitting the 2025 Family Protection Representation Plan. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about TIDC, just a little bit, who we are, what we do. We will talk some about the data collection history of family protection representation at TIDC, give you a little bit of context about how we even got here. The bulk of this training is going to be on website report, how to use the website, how to do it this year. That's mostly what we're going to talk about today. And then we will talk a little bit about the importance of this. Why are we doing it? This isn't just to make more busy work. We will save questions for the end. So again, please ask your questions as we go. All right, so who is TIDC? We are real people. That is a picture of the group of us there. And what we do is we work to improve indigent defense in adult criminal and juvenile delinquency cases and legal representation for children and indigent parents who are involved in child protection cases. So to give you a brief recap about how we got here with this data collection, I want to go through a little bit about what's happened in the past. Some of you might remember this, some of you might not, but it'll give you some context about how this is going to work this year. So a few sessions ago, way back during the 86th legislature, the legislature passed a bill that was SB 560 that required for the very first time all counties report information related to court appointments for attorneys for children and parents in CPS cases. It was never required before. We had very little statewide information about what was going on. So this bill was really important to help us understand what was happening out there. Now, that bill did require that the information be reported to the Texas Judicial Council. Initially, it was not to TIDC. So in November 2021, some of y'all might remember this, a few years ago, TIDC began collecting data, but we did that on behalf of the Texas Judicial Council. We were not doing it officially on behalf of ourselves. And for those of you that remember, that report happened through our original data collection site. And it was sort of a one-page, click boxes, lots of typing. The website looked a little bit older, but that's where we did our first round of family protection plans. TIDC is going through a complete data website overhaul. And eventually, that website, the original one, will no longer be used. But we're going through a phased process. And it's quite a process because there's a lot of data and there's a lot of counties. So it's going to take a few years. But we're going through that change now, but just to give you some context, if you might have remembered the original site. So in November 2022, we continued data collection again on behalf of the Judicial Council. That year, we only collected yearly expenditure reports from county financial officials, and that again was through our original data collection site. So not this last session that finished, but the 88th, another bill was passed. This one was SB 2120. This one officially added family protection representation responsibilities to TIDC's statutory mandate. The data collection requirements did continue, but the change was that the information just had to come straight to us. There was no to TJC, and then we did things on behalf of the council. It was all just going to come straight to us. But the actual data collection itself, that continued from the previous bill. So in November 2023, we continued data collection. The yearly expenditure reports were still due through the original data collection site. And the family protection representation plans, and some of y'all here may remember this, were done through a newly redesigned site. It was a different web address, completely different user interface. We were the first phase of the data collection change. People who do CPS work are intrepid people, I think. And so it was not that painful, but anytime you change something, it can be a challenge. But we were the first phase of that new site. In November 2024, the yearly expenditure reports were due again from the county financial officials, but that was through the newly redesigned site. So that was the second phase that happened last year. Second phase went through expenditure reporting. And then now that gets us to here, to this year, November 2025. And we are going to go through a little bit of another change. Before we talk about those changes, though, just to give you some context about the reports, because I know some things sometimes float around the county. Pursuant to section 79.0365 of the government code, there are two separate reports that are required from counties. One is the Indigent Defense Expenditure Report. That's due every year on November 1. That comes from the county auditor or treasurer. They're the person responsible for submitting the report. Now, some of y'all might help them do it. You might get asked questions, but that's not a judicial report, and that happens every single year. The Family Protection Representation Plan, which is what we're here to talk about today, that's due every other year in odd number years. And the local administrative district judge is the person responsible for submitting that plan. All right, so let's get to what we are here to talk about today, the new data collection website. It's not a complete change, but there are a few changes. So I'm glad you're here to learn about them and ask us any questions. One of the biggest changes is there is a new website address. So please tell your friends, if you happen to bookmark the old one, this is the new address where everything will eventually live. And you can see it right there. That's the tidc.it.tamu.edu. That's the new site, and that's what we're going to live with forever. The 2023 report lived on a different site. We had to migrate over to this site for tech reasons that I am not going to be equipped to explain to you, but this is the site that you're going to need to be using now. So just remember that. Instructions will also go out in the mail to all of the local administrative district judges, and that will be on there as well. But just know it's a new site. The other thing to know is that the criminal and juvenile plans are going to continue to be entered on the original data collection website. So if you happen to be a judge or a staff person that's responsible for both family protection representation and criminal and juvenile plans or criminal plans, that's going to happen on the original site still. That's not going through a change. And again, just to remind you, this website that we're using is different from the site we used 2 years ago. And Kristen is dropping the websites in the chat. Kristen and Sarah are dropping those in there. So if you need to copy and paste them, please go ahead and do so. All right, so let's talk about logging in. Again, the site is going to function a little bit differently from how things functioned 2 years ago. You can log in through two different ways. You can choose login. Over on the left, there's that blue bar and it says login. You can click there. Or you can go to the Indigent Defense Plan section there in the middle, and you can click on Family Protection Representation Plans, that green button there. Those will both take you to a login. If you have never, ever done any kind of logging into any of our data collection sites, so the original one, the one we've been using for quite a long time, the one from 2 years ago, if you've never logged into either of those, and you've never logged into the new one here, you're going to need to request a new user. And you can do that by using the new request new user link over there on the left side on that blue bar. So what do you do if you have logged in before? Okay, so excuse me, your username, this is also different. I believe on the site from 2023, you had a special username. On this site that we're going to use forever going forward, your username is your email address that's associated with your judicial responsibilities. So your address for being a judge, or if you're a staff person who's helping your judge out, that's your professional email address. And the system should recognize you, hopefully. The thing that is a little different here is if you've never logged into this new website, you will need to get a new password. So your passwords from the other sites are not going to work. To get a new password, you'll need to use the forgot password function that's on the login page to get that new password, all right? Once you've retrieved a password for this new site, then you just use that one. But you won't be able to use the passwords from the previous websites. Now, it's very possible you forgot it, and that's fine. I don't know that I would remember a password from 2 years ago. Maybe you do. That's wonderful, but just know that you won't be able to use that on this site. Okay, so there's a lot of new features on this new site that I think will be really helpful to y'all and more user-friendly. One of the new features is something we're calling the dashboard. The dashboard is eventually going to be the place where you can see all the different county plans. You can see the status of plans. So you'll be able to know what's going on, not just in your responsibilities, but you'll be able to see other plans for your county or reports for your county as well. This is still being worked on. Again, we're going through a multi-year, multi-phase change. So this will change as time goes on. But this is generally what the dashboard looks like right now. And also to let y'all know, I pulled screenshots from a test site that we're working on. Your website will not say test site, but my screenshots are just from our test site. The official site has not gone live yet at this point, but it will in the next few weeks. The other cool thing, the new thing, is the review and update plan function. So as you can see here on this county, under Family Protection Representation Judicial Plan, there's a yellow button that says Review and Update Plan. For counties that have entered information previously, even on that old site, if you entered information on the old website, the one from 23, not the original, the website from 2 years ago, that information is going to auto-populate here. And if you did that, you're going to see the Review and Update Plan button. Most counties are going to see the Review and Update Plan button. There are a very small number of counties that did not enter in any information in their plan, so they will not see that Review and Update Plan button. I will explain that in a little bit. I'll give a brief amount of time to explain what happens with those counties. But most of y'all are going to see this Review and Update Plan. And the reason why is because, again, that information is going to auto-populate for you. So hopefully, most of y'all will not be doing a lot of filling in and typing. The idea is that as we go on in future years, we're just reviewing and updating changes. So to get to your plan, to enter the portal, you'll want to click on your Review and Update Plan button. And then it's going to take you to this spot. This is another new feature. This is what we're calling the checklist. So some of y'all might remember in the site from 2023, it was kind of a guided step-by-step section process. And you couldn't get to one section until you got to the one previously, which I know was pretty frustrating for a lot of people. It was a little frustrating for me. This does not function that way. You can hop around. So if you come to the checklist and you think, you know what, I want to start on the attorney appointment process first, you can do that. Or you can go to appointment lists. And then next one, standards for determining indigence. You can kind of hop around as you want on this checklist. I will also note that the functionality of the website is pretty set. There may still be some small changes as far as like headings or wording. Nothing major, you might not even notice it, but before it goes live, there are still some small edits happening, but the function of the site is definitely how it's going to work. Now, one other thing I want to note is that most of y'all, again, who entered information in 2023, when you come to your checklist, you're going to see these sections that show in progress. Now, you might be thinking, why is it in progress? I haven't even clicked on it. Well, it says in progress because you already have information in there from your 2023 report. So most of y'all will see the in progress buttons. It doesn't mean you've started it or someone else has started it. It just means you already have information in there from the 23 report. All right, so how do these sections function? So for this particular county, they did enter information in 2023. You can see that already populated here. So for most of you, when you go into any of the sections, you're going to see information that's already entered. So some of y'all may have no changes. So you can just review, check it out, say, okay, nothing has changed, and you hit complete step, that step will be done. If you do have changes, so for instance, let's say in this county, you see, oh, it says there's only 8 attorneys on the list. Oh, we added some. That'd be great news. Now we have 12. You can change the number, even the next section, maybe you need to change that number, and then you hit complete step once you've made your changes. If you're mid making changes and you have to go do something, you can save progress and it will save your changes. Now, like most websites, if you start working and you make changes and you leave it or you change the page, if you don't save progress or complete step, it's not going to save your work. It won't automatically save for you. So just remember to hit save progress or complete step if you need to leave. So it's pretty simple. Hopefully it's pretty user-friendly. The other new feature, and this will be helpful for those of you making changes, is the change log. So, you know, if you make a change, so this is an example, I changed the answers on this county. I changed the numbers of attorneys on the list and attorneys accepting appeals. What the site will do is down at the bottom there, how it says changes made, there will be a list of all the changes that are made. And you'll see the question, you'll see the previous answer, you'll see the new answer. You know, if you made a mistake, you can always go back and fix it, but it will keep logs of your changes so that you know what's been changed, and it won't just make the change and then it's like disappears what you had before. The change log will only appear if you hit save progress or complete step. If you make changes and you hit back to checklist without saving progress or completing the step, you won't have the change log because nothing will have been saved. All right, submitting documents. This also functions a little bit different from the previous year, hopefully better. I know that submitting documents was a little bit of a struggle 2 years ago, so we are hopeful that this will be better. And the big change here is that most of y'all did submit documents last time the report was done 2 years ago. So here's an example of a county that had submitted some documents. You will see what you've already submitted. So here you see this example, everything's listed there. If you want to view the document, go over to the right, click on that blue eye, and then you'll be able to see the document. Now, let's say you look at it and you think, oh, well, that's not accurate anymore. We have a brand new fee schedule, or we have a new fee voucher, or whatever it might be. You can use that green paper clip over to the right, click on it, and then it will allow you to upload a new document. And that will replace what you had before. We do keep archives of everything that's been loaded before, so it's not just gonna, all these things here won't disappear from, forever. We'll keep an archive. But this will show what's most up to date and what's most accurate. And if you make a change, much like the other sections, you'll have a change log down at the bottom. So if you switch out an application for appointment with your new one, you'll see that change log down at the bottom of this section. The other thing to know is if you have other documents. So we have listed here documents that we think most counties are going to have: your affidavit of indigence, application for appointment, fee schedule, fee voucher. If you have other relevant documents, you can upload those as well. Because the government code does require that it's pretty broad. It's like fee schedules and then anything else that's relevant forms. So if you have, say, local rules that speak about appointments and CPS cases, you can use this other document section. You can do add document, and then you can upload that document. And this functions just like the other sections as well. Make sure you save progress if you need to leave before you're done, and then you'll complete the step when you're finished. All right, so the boxes here, as you can see, when we first got to the checklist, they were yellow. As you work through your sections and you complete the steps, the boxes will go from those yellow arrows to these green check marks. Once all of your boxes are green check marks, this yellow Review Finalize ID Plan button will show up. That yellow button will not appear until all of your sections have a green check mark. So if you've only got 8 green check marks, 1 yellow box, you're not going to be able to see that yellow button. So if you're thinking like, what the heck is going on? Something might be going on with that one section that's stuck in that yellow box status, the in progress status. When you're ready, once you've looked at everything, you can hit the Review Finalize ID Plan button, and then it's going to take you to another page. There, you will be able to download a PDF of all of your answers if you want. You don't have to, but you can. That will allow you to download it, save it to your computer, print it out. You can write on it. I know for some of y'all, a staff person might be filling this out, or a different judge might be filling this out. You can download that PDF, give it to the judge that needs to submit for them to review on paper, if that's something they prefer. I didn't screenshot all the responses because there would have been many screenshots. But after this top line, what you're going to see underneath are going to be all the responses that are entered on the plan. So you want to make sure you review and scroll through all the responses. What we're really trying to get at here is we want to make sure that the information we have that's reported on this plan is the most accurate and up-to-date information for what's going on in your county on the date that the report is submitted. So please read it. Now this bottom section, this can only be completed by the local administrative district judge. Other people can fill the plan out. It can be the judge's, maybe court administrator or a child protection court judge who handles these cases. They can go through and make the changes, enter information. But this last step, that checkbox and green button, can only be done by the local administrative district judge. The checkbox is required. You can't click that green button until the checkbox is checked. And that's certifying that the information is accurate and complete. And then you can click that Certify ID Plan button. And then once that's done, the plan has been submitted. Okay, so I'm going to go over this really quickly because there really are so few counties that are in this situation. But I did just want to bring that to everyone's attention. So if you are one of the few counties that did not submit any information in 2023, when you come to your dashboard, you're going to see a green button that says Start New Plan because there are no answers in your sections. The checklist will look different for counties that did not have any information in 23. Again, this is a handful, very few. These red boxes indicate that nothing has been entered in those boxes. I'm not going to go through each one because after that, the sections function just as they would if you were in progress. You can't make changes because there's nothing to change. And then again, once everything turns green, the review finalized plan button will appear. All right, so I do want to go over the importance of reporting and data collection. And I will also note we did schedule this for an hour, but I know everyone's really busy. So we're trying to move a little faster and give you some time. There's also another training at 1. So if you want to take a little break between, but we'll probably be finished well before 1, even with questions. But that being said, before we finish up here, I do want to talk about why we're doing this. We know y'all are very busy. Child protection work is incredibly difficult. It's hard. Your dockets are probably really full and you have a lot going on. So this is not just one more thing to add on your list or one more, unfunded mandate. We really do care here at TIDC about the improvement of family protection representation. We take it really seriously. And this information that gets reported to us is key in helping us make policy decisions, helping us make decisions about what to ask for at the legislature. We know that funding and support are really important for these cases from the state. We did ask last session for some financial support from the state for these cases. Unfortunately, we were not successful in our requests, but we're going to ask again, and we're going to keep asking because we know that the work is really important. And when you make big asks to the legislature for millions of dollars, it's really important to have solid information to back that request up. So this data report is really important. It shows us trends happening in your counties. It shows us how many lawyers you're able to work with, different standards. It's able to do a lot of different things. It also helps other counties, if they want to change something, it's easy for them to say, well, look at all these other counties, they're also doing this. Maybe help them kind of get on board with something. So this is very important. It gets used in many, many different ways. And we do really care here. So we thank you for taking the time to fill it out, to make sure that anything that you're sharing with us is accurate and complete, because we do really use it here. Okay, so a little reminder is if you don't have more to remember, hopefully your post-it reminder situation is better than this computer and maybe better than what I have going on my desk right now. But this is not your responsibility, but I wanted to put this out there just so you can share with your attorneys. The attorney practice time report is due from all attorneys who accept appointments in child protection cases, adult criminal and juvenile delinquency cases on October 15th. So if you could just remind your lawyers on your appointment list that this report is due. It's pretty easy, shouldn't take them too long, hopefully. It is at the same website that the plan is done on. So the new website we've been talking about, same site. And this information is also incredibly helpful to TIDC. Dr. Gamble, who's our research director, does a lot of work with this to paint a picture of, who's doing these cases, what our need is. And so the more attorneys we can get doing their practice time report, the better the information is going to be. So if you could just share that, we'd really appreciate it. Other reminders. So the website, for those of you that are eager, it's not open yet. So I know some of y'all are very responsible and will definitely get this in on time, but you can't go in right now and start making your plans. You will need to wait until October 1st. October 1st, the website will officially open and you can go in and start reviewing, making changes, and submitting. We're also trying something a little bit different this year. We're offering office hours. The dates are all there. They're all at noon. It's very casual and informal. Staff will be at the office hours. I will be at all of them to answer family protection questions. So if you get started on your plan and you get tripped up on something or you have questions, you can join those and get some answers there. We'll also have some staff from the organization that's running the website, and you can ask them questions as well. The link to join the office hours is in that Linktree link there. And I think it's probably going to be dropped in the chat as well if it has not already done so. And you can go there. It's not a webinar, so you won't register. You can just click that link and join us and ask us some questions if you have them. Here's my information. There's my phone number, my direct email. If you have specific questions about data reporting, that CPS data info email address is a good one to use because I know that's a specific data question. But if you really have any questions about family protection, if you want to talk about something, I'm happy to do so. Ideas you have or needs, please reach out. We're really trying to do what we can to help you all to improve the system. And with that, I think we moved pretty quickly, thank goodness. So we're available to answer any of your questions if you have them. Let's stop sharing. All right.
One question we had come in during the presentations, Crystal, I think you can handle this one, is we have a agency that their employee who handled their plans the previous time isn't there with them anymore. And so will the county have access to be able to enter information since the employee who worked on the plan last time isn't there anymore? How do they handle that situation?
Yeah, so if you have a new person who is going to do the plan, they can just request a new user and they'll get a login, a username, and they can log in, and then they'll be able to see all the previous answers in the system. So yeah, no worries. We know people move, leave, change jobs. You'll just need to request a new user if it's a brand new person.
And the last piece on that one, it's kind of a two-parter, is how do you handle not having the same person, but then also, since they entered data last time on the old website, that data will already be moved over for them into the new one. So they won't have to upload the previous information. They can work off of that plan that was submitted previously, right?
Right. You don't need to call me and ask. So in the old days, some of y'all may have remembered doing this. For 23, you would call me and I'd email you a PDF of your answers from 2021 to see what you answered back then. You don't have to do that now. When you log into this site and you get into the plan, if you've entered answers in 2023, the answers will be there. So you can just see them on the plan. And all you'll have to do is, if you have changes, make the changes. Otherwise, if there's no changes, just approve it as is. All right, easy. We've answered all the questions. Well, we will hang around for a few minutes for anyone who might have some questions that pop into your head. If not, if you don't have any questions and you feel ready to go on this, you are certainly free to go, have some lunch. We are doing another training at 1 o'clock for the criminal and juvenile plans. So if you are responsible for those, you might want to join that one. If you can't make it, that will also be put up on our YouTube channel and the recording will be available for later. But thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And I hope that the plan reporting goes nice and easy this year.